Asylum Seeker stabbed innocent mother to death. Rhiannon Skye Whyte's brutal murder by Deng Majek. Expect bad language. This episode tells a horrific tale of stalking, fixation, and a brutal murder committed by an asylum seeker in England against a migrant hotel worker and mother just doing her job. 27-year-old hard-working mother Rhiannon Skye Whyte was described by her loved ones as being smart, kind, funny, thoughtful and caring, with a beautiful and bright future, which was horrifically cut short and ended because of one inhumane and disturbed individual, an asylum seeker from Sudan called Deng Majek. I would have pronounced it Deng, but I've just heard Deng, so I'll go with that. Deng, who thought he could play God and steal a beautiful young mother from all of her family and loved ones in her own country, where she should have been safe. Rhiannon was working at the Park Inn Hotel in a place called Walsall in Wolverhampton, England, Birmingham. A hotel that welcomed, housed and fed asylum seekers, as many UK hotels now do. Once a place for people holidaying with family or business workers who travel and stay in style, they are now more and more frequently being utilised to house asylum seekers, most of whom none of us even have the slightest idea where they came from, how old they are, their intentions in coming to the UK. Worst of all, we have no clue about their criminal history. It's extremely worrying, to say the least, and mother Rhiannon was not out starting fights with this male, or even had any known connection to him at all. Besides, she worked at and for the very hotel that welcomed him in the first place. I mean, come on, which side of your bread is buttered, you fool? Can't you see when the grass is greener? This country welcomed you, gave you a place to live and be safe, and in return, you chose to brutally murder one of our own hard-working citizens, working at your goddamn hotel home, for fuck's sake. What was going through his mind? Rhiannon Skye Whyte should have been able to go to work, complete her shift, and make it home safely. But that is not what happened. This bright, bubbly mother had only been working at Walsall's Park Inn Hotel for 3 months at the time of her horrific murder. She would help with things such as cleaning, serving food, and taking general care of the guests. Deng Majek was one of them, unfortunately. Believed to have only entered our country also 3 months before the brutal attack on the hotel worker Rhiannon. He only lasted just a mere 3 months before taking it upon himself to murder one of our own. That is insane. After all he was given by us as a country too, that is his thanks. What kind of message does that send to everybody? This violent and evil murderer had stalked his victim and other female hotel workers for hours before he unleashed his savage attack on innocent Rhiannon. He was utterly fixated on the women, as shown on the hotel CCTV, where he watched the staff non-stop with God knows what barbaric thoughts and intentions went through his messed up, callous mind. It seems Rhiannon may have noticed his fixation on her. I mean, how could you not? Look how he sits. Look at the gaze and stare in those dead eyes. I know it's not the clearest footage, being CCTV, but I think it's pretty damn clear that this male is obsessed with Rhiannon for whatever unknown, vile reason. Gosh, I wish more than anything, as I'm sure her loved ones do too, that she had just chosen to call an Uber home that night, or tried to find a lift somehow with someone. But why should she have to? She should not. Rhiannon should have been safe on her usual route home, but instead she was followed and stalked, then brutally attacked, before being left to bleed out and die alone. At some point before they both left the hotel, as Rhiannon's seen coming back from her break with her colleague, Deng actually passes the two women, making it a point to physically barge into the working mother. Clearly taken off guard by this and confused as to why he did that, it is said that she commented, "What the fuck?" Then later on October the 20th, 2024 at 11 p.m, Rhiannon clocked off for her shift and started to make her usual journey towards Bescot Stadium railway station. Something she had done many times before and never encountered an issue. Well, certainly nothing like what was about to befall her. Seen crossing a car park, Rhiannon was actually at the time on the phone to a very close friend, casually chatting away and catching up on life. She had no idea a vicious, bloodthirsty killer was right behind her. You just want to scream, "Turn around! You're not safe! Please call someone to get you." But we can't, heartbreakingly. This would be the last ever time Rhiannon would walk to this station, and the last time she is ever seen alive again. Following around 2 minutes behind her was Deng Majek, clearly on the hunt for his victim. And covering his face as he climbs the stairs of Bescot Station, constantly checking nobody else is around, which sadly they weren't. He took his opportunity and pounced on the innocent female, just trying to make it back home safe to her son. As I said, at the time, Rhiannon was on the phone to her close friend Emma, who tragically would end up hearing her beloved friend being savagely attacked and murdered, for no reason at all. Emma heard her friend screaming before the line cut off at around 11:19 p.m, giving investigators a clear time on the attack, which they could then correlate to the crucial CCTV footage at Bescot Station. And remember, no one else was there at the time. He thought he was smart, covering his face, like the police wouldn't follow his entire route all the way back to the hotel, and his extremely disturbing and creepy stalking behaviour. Idiot. Emma immediately called 999, following the traumatic phone call to her friend. She then contacted Rhiannon's mother to inform her of the crazy events that just unfolded, still unsure of what exactly happened, but knowing it was not good. The police first went to the Park Inn Hotel, before being redirected to the train station, probably by members of staff. The next train to roll in, the very one that she was intended to catch home that night, arrived at around 11:24. The times may differ, guys, I've seen different times, sorry. Where terrified witnesses and the driver saw a female slumped over on the platform, surrounded by blood. The driver did in fact help, and also a hotel worker. But what the hell happened?
She made her way along this path and up these stairs to the deserted train station platform. Her friend heard her screams as Majek launched his frenzied attack, stabbing her repeatedly in the head with a screwdriver. She was found slumped on the platform when the train she was meant to catch pulled in.
Well, she had been cold-bloodedly murdered by what investigators believe to be some kind of crosshead screwdriver, which he ruthlessly plunged into Rhiannon an insane 23 times altogether, 11 times to the head, with one wound being so brutally deep that it actually pierced her brainstem. Absolutely unbelievable. People will use anything they can get their hands on to commit murder if they really want to. It was consultant pathologist Brett Lockyer who determined the murder weapon to be that of a crosshead screwdriver, with her wounds being consistent to the tool itself. But the murder weapon still has never been located, but there's always time. So everybody in that area of Walsall, keep a lookout, because I have a feeling he may have chucked that in some sort of water or river or something. If you find a random ass screwdriver somewhere, who cares if it's nothing, just hand it into police. Rhiannon Skye Whyte was rushed to Birmingham's Queen Elizabeth Hospital, but her injuries were so severe she could not physically ever recover, never regaining consciousness again, and ultimately dying 3 days later, surrounded by her loved ones. His sister had to inform her son that Mummy had gone to heaven and wouldn't be coming back, the hardest thing she has ever had to do.
I had to explain to him that the person he asked if Rhiannon was okay because he knew that we were at the hospital. Alex had to explain to him that her bad man had hurt her. So I initially explained to him that she had a poorly brain, and we tried really hard, and the doctors tried really hard, but they couldn't fix her brain. So she had to go to heaven. The scream that left that child that day will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Rhiannon, who died 3 days after the attack, told her family that she enjoyed her work and felt she was making a positive difference.
We promised her in the hospital we were going to live the way she wanted us to live.
And we promised her justice.
And that's exactly what we're doing.
Life for a life. None of this deportation. I'm not against asylum seekers, whatever, but he's taken my daughter away. He doesn't deserve to be sent back to his own country. Serve his time here, every day of his life.
Utterly heartbreaking that this little boy will never get to experience life and his future with his loving mother ever again. And for literally no reason. Following the victim's attack, Deng is seen hastily leaving the scene, back down the steps he came up just minutes before, stalking his victim. Only now, he is covered in her blood and carrying her phone. He moves quickly, but is certainly not running away. As he crosses the bridge on his walkway back to the Park Inn hotel, he contemplates what to do with his victim's phone. You can actually see the thought process, before finally deciding to toss it into the flowing water below, seen here. Deng then went on to casually visit 1 or 2 shops to purchase some beverages, supposedly beer. He's seen walking the streets and even captured physically rubbing off Rhiannon's blood onto his trousers before entering one of the shops, clearly trying to cover his evil deeds, the blood from the vicious murder he just committed. Then, in some pretty clear CCTV, he is seen very casually observing the cold beverages in the fridges. Ooh, what shall I have? What quenches the thirst of a cold-blooded, evil murderer? He is certainly not trying to hurry away, change his clothes and hide. Nope, he's one proud and sick individual. The scum then returned to the hotel and swapped his blood-soaked flimsy flip-flops for some trainers. He is then sickeningly observed dancing and seemingly celebrating his vile and despicable achievement.
This is the depraved dance of a murderer high on his crime. Deng Majek had attacked a staff member from the Asylum Hotel.
He looks like he's having a great old time. Then, this footage of him dancing and cheering in the hotel car park was taken of him, probably by other asylum seeker buddies, who the one filming is even seen actually zooming in on the crime scene in the distance. where the blue flashing lights of the emergency responders can clearly be seen. This tells me how he chooses to focus on the scene of the murder, that the guy filming is aware of what has just transpired and more than happy to join in on celebrating with Deng. Seriously, what evil are we just allowing into our country? We have enough paedophiles, murderers, rapists and criminals in general as it is. Now we just let unvetted strangers with no idea of their intentions or criminal history to come on in. Stay in style. Just look at where he was staying, you guys. This is a damn nice hotel. Lovely entrance and food court. Beautiful bedrooms, all given to people we know nothing about. And then some choose to act this way. Not all, of course, but what I'm saying is it's so dangerous. It infuriates me. This country is not safe and getting more and more dangerous month by month. It's incredibly daunting to think what the future may hold for us here in the UK. Even just the basic details like the evil scumbag's age is not currently known. I mean, come on, what does that tell you? He claimed to be 18 at the time of the murder, but a Home Office official said, "I say Mr. Majek looks to be in his mid-20s. I don't believe Mr. Majek to be 18. So yeah, he is supposed to have entered the UK on a small boat just 3 months prior to the brutal killing at Bescot Station. He is believed to have personally disclosed the fact that before arriving in the UK in July of 2024, he had passed through Libya, Italy, and Germany. But, of course, UK is almost always the end goal for these people. We just offer so much. He also apparently even abandoned his own child to make the trek from Sudan and through multiple countries on his way to England. When he was stopped in Germany, his date of birth was actually recorded as being the 1st of January 1998, which rather than 18, like he claimed to be to British police, this would in fact make him 27. So again, just shows how little any of us really know about the individuals we invite in, willy-nilly. His age is an important factor in his sentencing, as in the UK, sentencing guidelines are different for someone under the age of 21, which I'm guessing this scumbag knows, which was why he claimed to only be 18 at the time. This is a huge point of contention. Apparently, age assessments are currently being done to figure this confusion out.
On his return to the hotel, he's filmed dancing with other residents as police arrive.
Very cold-blooded, in my opinion, very odd, having committed such a horrific attack, savage I would call it, how he could then behave the way he did afterwards in such a jovial way, dancing, I can't get my head around that.
This vile human goes by the name of Deng Majek, but who knows if that's even his real name? Let's face it, we don't even know his real age. He is a Sudanese national who came to the UK claiming asylum and residing at the Serco organised and coordinated Park Inn Hotel in Walsall. He is said to be from a large family with 7 sisters and 3 brothers, but of course that could all just be pure bullshit. He could be an only child for all we know. Deng said he never went to school or received a formal education, and not even taught basic morals or respect for human life by the looks of it. And a daughter he abandoned too, to come here. He claimed he fled war in Sudan at the age of 16. Wonder how old he was when he had his kid then, and how old his kid is. Also saying that the birth date was recorded of 1998 in Germany was just a mistake, due to confusion when he was processed in Italy. Believe that if you want. Deng said he had no previous convictions, cautions, reprimands or warnings recorded against him. Yet after just 3 months here in England, he violently kills a totally innocent woman, stabbing her 23 times with a fucking screwdriver. Bit of a leap, pal. And just 'cause you weren't caught and reprimanded does not mean you never committed a crime, does it? All this woman, this mother, sister, daughter, friend and loved one wanted to do was just make it through her shift and return home safe to her son. Not much to ask for, is it, guys? Goddamn horrific is what it is. She did nothing at all to warrant such an attack, stealing her entire life and future away in just mere moments and left to die alone on a cold, deserted platform. A completely cowardly and unprovoked attack on a selfless, innocent, hard-working, vibrant mother who he didn't even know. When interviewed by police, this utter scum of the earth chose to remain completely silent for the entire duration of the 90-minute interview. No surprise there then. He was arrested around 5:06 a.m. on the 21st of October 2024. So luckily, pretty swiftly, to protect the public. He is obviously a very dangerous and violent individual and needed to be stopped.
When police visited the hotel, they found Majek along with a jacket, a ring and sandals, which contained Rhiannon's blood. Her DNA was also under his fingernails.
What's your name? On suspicion of attempted murder. Okay. Do you not say anything? Lay on the case. Do not mention one question, something later on in court.
He was initially questioned on suspicion of attempted murder, to which he simply gave no reply to, later stating his solicitor told him to remain silent or he would go to prison. When originally arrested in his hotel room, there was plenty of evidence left behind of the vicious murder of Rhiannon Whyte, including his distinctive grey jacket with a darker patch on it, seen earlier in the hotel CCTV footage as he stalked and stared down the female hotel employees. This jacket held the DNA of Rhiannon. Other items of clothing and belongings were also recovered from his room, found to also contain blood and DNA of poor Rhiannon. But Deng thinks he can outsmart the professionals and detectives, and even the DNA work itself. He also chose to play the "I don't speak English" card in court. On the 24th of October 2025, at Wolverhampton Crown Court, he made his appearance and show of ignorance, with completely no remorse at all.
Now to a court case that we've been following, the trial of an asylum seeker accused of murdering hotel worker Rhiannon Whyte in Walsall a year ago. Well, today, Deng Majek took the stand to defend himself. Bradley Harris is at Wolverhampton Crown Court where that trial is taking place. Let's go and speak to him. Bradley, good evening to you. Run us through what happened in court today.
Hi, Dan. Yeah, well, today is actually pretty important because it's the first time that we've heard from the accused in court, Sudanese national Deng Majek. This CCTV was shown today and it's played a key part in this trial. The prosecution used it to show the jury the hotel Deng Majek was staying in, which they claim shows the defendant staring at female members of staff. However, giving evidence today, Mr. Majek said he was listening to music and denied having ever met Rhiannon Whyte.
And Bradley, there are questions out there about the identity of the accused on CCTV.
And CCTV footage actually captures someone leaving the hotel car park, but the defendant told the court today that he did not leave the area outside the hotel's reception. He said the blurred image shown to the jury was not clear. He also denied following Rhiannon Whyte as she walked to the train station and that the person picked up on the CCTV footage was not him. The defence barrister asked the defendant that the prosecution was saying he followed Rhiannon from the hotel. He said that is wrong. CCTV, which the prosecution alleged showed Mr. Majek walking into a shop after the attack. The prosecution asked Mr. Majek to look this jury in the eye and tell them that's not you. to which he said, "That's not me." Deng Majek denies murder and possession of an offensive weapon, and of course the trial continues.
Throughout the trial, he answered questions through an Arabic interpreter, which would obviously drag all proceedings out that much longer and show even more disrespect to the victims' loved ones. While under cross-examination by defence counsel Gurdeep Garcha, a hotel housing officer said that Majek could hold fluent conversations in English, proving this was all a ploy. And later, when being questioned in court by the prosecution, when asked how good his English was, he responded through the interpreter and said, "I don't speak any English." In evidence given, it was stated that Rhiannon Skye Whyte's DNA/blood was found on clothes, shoes, and even a ring that Majek had worn. The court heard that the probability of this blood being that of Miss Whyte's was 1,000,000,000 times more likely to belong to her than anyone else. But I'm sure he'll argue with that, guys. Deng was asked, "Miss Simpson, the forensic specialist, is not lying about the forensics, is she?" And as expected, he sarcastically responded with, "She's wrong." Oh, of course the DNA expert is wrong, you guys. He's salt of the bloody earth, don't you know? Ugh. Footage was shown in court of Deng Majek entering those shops to buy drinks, in that very distinctive grey jacket, and in high quality definition too. He still denies it was him, claiming he entered a different shop earlier in the evening and before it went dark. But when asked, he had no idea on the location of said shop, the directions to get to it, or what time he went. He's pretty shit at this alibiing. Throughout the gruelling and heartbreaking 2-week trial, overseen by Judge Mr. Justice Sewell, the prosecution showed numerous pieces of CCTV footage where the suspect continued to repeatedly deny that he was the male in the videos, despite the man wearing an identical jacket and staying at the very hotel Rhiannon worked at. And where he's at. It's like a winky dink, don't you think? He stated anyone could buy one, as in the jacket, and the man was not him. Okay then. He was asked, "Your jacket did have blood on it, Mr. Majek. Tell the jury how it got there." He responded, "My jacket had no blood on it." Then he was asked, "Tell this jury how Rhiannon Whyte's blood got on your jacket." His remorseless response was, "My jacket didn't have any blood on it." Oh God, it must be so frustrating having to deal with sick criminals like these, purposely winding the prosecution up, and the victim's family. Oh my God, it's DNA evidence, you dick, and you cannot argue with this. Plus, of course, all of the crucial CCTV footage and witness statements from that night. A housing officer based at the Park Inn Hotel gave evidence saying Mr. Majek actually appeared sad before the brutal murder, whereas after, he seemed to be back to himself. Now that is extremely telling, as we clearly saw on the CCTV images and phone video of him dancing and celebrating after he murdered an innocent woman. He was elated. Even in her closing speech to the jury, the prosecutor, Michelle Healy-Kesey, spoke of his behaviour and overall demeanour following the attack as, "He is celebrating. His mood has changed from that of a prolonged scowl in the cafe before the murder to dancing and joy after the murder. It is utterly callous." Indeed. He straight up denied killing anyone. In the trial, he was also questioned as to how Rhiannon's DNA was located under his right fingernail. His reply? "I never touched her, and there is no DNA." Oh God. Utter denial. Delusions, or who knows, perhaps some sort of God complex. Miss Keeley asked, Why is an independent forensic scientist wrong? His answer to that question was, I don't know why, because I'm sure my stuff had no blood on it. In a closing statement to the jury, she said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you have a stark choice. Do you accept the evidence of an independent forensic scientist? Or do you believe the defendant who sat silently in interview with no answers to police questions?" The jury went away and deliberated for just over 2 hours before coming to a unanimous decision of guilty of the brutal murder of Rhiannon Skye Whyte.
Bradley Harris has been following this for us at Wolverhampton Crown Court. And Bradley, what was the reaction like as the jury returned the verdict there?
Hi, Simon. Yeah, well, there was a huge gasp from the public gallery as Deng Majek was found guilty of murder. Rhiannon Whyte's family was seen crying as that verdict was being delivered. The jury had been deliberating for just 2 hours and 5 minutes. All of this, of course, incredibly emotional for the family who have been waiting just over a year for justice.
What happens next there, Bradley?
Yeah, important question. And the judge said that he would actually like to establish Deng Majek's age because, according to the sentencing guidelines, they can differ for those under the age of 21. We know Majek told the court he was 18 at the time of the attack, which would make him 19 today. The judge has ordered an age assessment report, which has postponed Majek's sentencing until the 15th of December.
What have Rhiannon's family been saying today, Bradley?
Yeah, Simon, of course, all of this very overwhelming for the family. They've waited a long time for this verdict.
He will never silence us, and Rhiannon will live on in all of us.
An overwhelming sense of relief at today's guilty verdict, but attention will now focus on how long Rhiannon's killer will stay in prison.
Well, here at Wolverhampton Crown Court, jurors heard that Deng Majek had stabbed Rhiannon Whyte more than 20 times over and over again with a screwdriver, before later being seen dancing and laughing on CCTV images. Now, the train that Rhiannon had intended to catch pulled into that platform at around 24 minutes past 11. It's the driver that saw a body slumped on the platform and later went to help. Now, Majek denies charges of murder and possessing a screwdriver as an offensive weapon.
Rhiannon's poor family sat bravely through the entire 2-week trial, seeing their daughter, sister and loved one being stalked for hours before, followed on her way home, and viciously murdered, before celebrating his sick achievements. I cannot even begin to imagine what that must have been like for them all. Extremely traumatic, to say the very least, but incredibly brave nonetheless.
If you look at the actual amount of injuries that the deceased had on her head, penetrative injuries to her skull, I mean, the level of brutality there is some of the worst I've seen in my 18 years of service in the police. He's never given an explanation, and it's also of note he's never shown any remorse. So I can only draw my own conclusions that it was a cold-blooded, brutal murder.
Mr. Justice Judge Sewell addressed Rhiannon's family in court and said, "No one sitting in this court can fail to be struck by the quiet dignity that you have all shown through these most demanding days in court. And also, it is unimaginable, and I thank you and admire you for it." Ending with, "I also want to express in ways which is difficult to do so, my intense sympathy for the terrible loss that you have suffered." Rhiannon's mother was visibly moved to tears by this. In her statement, Alexandra White, who is Rhiannon's sister, said she was raising her sister's son, adding how she could not express the unimaginable pain of having to sit down and explain to a 5-year-old child that one of the people he loves more than anything will never be coming home.
We have to learn how to live without her. And he gets to live. And that's not fair.
But we will keep Rhiannon's memory alive. This This case is not the last you'll hear of Rhiannon. There is a lot we have planned as a family. We hold memorials. We do a lot together to keep Rhiannon's memory alive.
Keep saying her name.
Never making it home to her son. Today her sister said she'll never forget telling him.
The screams of pain from this beautiful little boy will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Just so incredibly heartbreaking. She also commented how the screams of pain from this beautiful little boy will haunt me for the rest of my life. But we will never let Majek haunt him. This child should never have had to experience the pain and misery he has caused. Alexandra, heartbroken and raging at Majek's callous attack on her sister, said Deng Majek stalked, hunted and then preyed on our defenceless Rhiannon before cornering her and unleashing a vicious attack. For what purpose? She was at work, helping people as she always did, and he chose her for no purpose other than cold-blooded self-gratification. Strong and meaningful words, she also spoke bravely outside of the courtroom on behalf of her beloved sister.
Rhiannon's life was not the only one taken that day. Majek stole a crucial piece from all of us. Throughout this trial, we have been given no reason as to why he chose Rhiannon, no accountability for his actions, and no remorse.
Her family say Rhiannon would have wanted them to stay strong for each other. They want Majek to spend his life behind bars.
Life for a life. He's taken my daughter away. He doesn't deserve to be sent back to his own country.
This family must spend the rest of their lives without one of their own.
She fought for her life and to save herself from this sick, twisted and cowardly human. Rhiannon died surrounded by family and friends. We held her in our arms for 3 days until she succumbed to the injuries he inflicted on her. We prayed and begged for her to live. But our hope is that Deng Majek will spend the rest of his life alone and unloved. We now have to grieve her for longer than we got to love her, which will never make any sense to us. He may have taken her voice, her future and her life, but he will never silence us, and Rhiannon will live on in all of us.
And we promised her justice.
And that's exactly what we're doing.
Majek, who claims to be 19 and from Sudan, said that it wasn't him. The evidence showed very clearly that it was.
Just leave him there for now.
There were gasps and tears of relief from Rhiannon's family as Majek was convicted. Originally from Sudan, it's believed he came to the UK on a small boat last summer. While the Home Office won't comment on individual cases, they did say that their aim is to deport any foreign national who commits a crime here. Sentencing has been delayed until December so that his age can be assessed.
So Deng Majek was indeed found guilty of murdering innocent 27-year-old immigrant hotel worker and loving mother Rhiannon Skye Whyte. But due to no one actually knowing his real age, and the fact this could certainly change his time in prison, sentencing is held off until the 15th of December 2025, where in the meantime specialists will have to race to determine his genuine age. He never showed a single ounce of remorse through the entire 2-week court proceedings, denying everything. He even appeared bored throughout the trial, and completely unbothered by it all. Of course, much to the distress of Rhiannon's poor, grieving family and loved ones, who faced her killer every day in that courtroom. I don't know, I could not handle that. Hold it together, I'd lose my shit. Detective Chief Inspector Atwell said many things, along with, "I have no doubt that Rhiannon would be very proud of them all, after the unbelievable strength and dignity they all showed. And also, it is abundantly clear to me just how much Rhiannon was loved by her family and friends. We should remember her name and life rather than that of the killer, which I hope this documentary has achieved, and given respect to her name and loved ones." I am so proud of her family, who are quick to urge people not to judge all asylum seekers on the actions of Majek. So much grace and dignity. In their statement, they said, "Many have tried to imply this is about immigration, but these are the choices of one man, not an ethnic group." Which I do agree with, and I think is incredibly brave and dignified to say, but it doesn't change the fact that not knowing where these people have come from or anything about their personalities or criminal history and background is just purely adding to the crime we already have in our country. It's so scary. We know absolutely zilch about these people, only what they tell us. Terrifying it really is. And what about that guy that got accidentally released this week and was like hanging around the prison for 90 minutes or something? Like, where do I go? What do I do? And they're pushing him to leave. What's that all about? When they knew he'd sexually assaulted someone or something? I haven't fully read into it, but I was shocked. It's like they're turfing out people because they haven't got the room. And some scary, dangerous individuals as well. This happens a lot more often than you'd think to you guys. Yep. I think it's about 86 a year or something. That may be wrong. So, Deng Majek is due to be sentenced on Monday the 15th of December 2025 at Wolverhampton Crown Court. Mr Justice Sewell said he was ordering an age assessment report. Prosecutor Michelle Keeley-Casey said it would likely be some sort of medical assessment like a bone x-ray. I was wondering how they would go about finding out his age. I for some reason guessed it might have something to do with teeth, but I was just guessing. Fingers crossed they can prove he is above the age of 21 and prosecute to the fullest. Rhiannon passed away after a horrific 3 days of holding on, with all of her family and loved ones beside her, holding her hand till the very end. Rhiannon Skye Whyte was intentionally and cruelly ripped away from her family, being stabbed to death by a violent piece of shit, who was welcomed into the UK and even the very hotel she worked for. The bright and lovable worker probably even served him in this swanky hotel. And instead of appreciating all of what our country gave to him, including a safe place to reside, and instead of respecting our British citizens and hard-working members of public, he chose to take it upon himself to steal the life of an amazing mother instead. Just absurd.
This is 27-year-old Rhiannon Whyte, a mother who died after being stabbed 23 times with a screwdriver by an asylum seeker who was staying at the hotel where Rhiannon worked. Today, Deng Majek has been found guilty of her murder. Bradley Harris has been following this for us at Wolverhampton Crown Court. And Bradley, what was the reaction like as the jury returned the verdict there?
Hi, Simon. Yeah, well, there was a huge gasp from the public gallery as Deng Majek was found guilty of murder. Rhiannon Whyte's family was seen crying as that verdict was being delivered. The jury had been deliberating for just 2 hours and 5 minutes. All of this, of course, incredibly emotional for the family who have been waiting just over a year for justice.
I initially explained to him that she had a poorly brain, and we tried really hard, and the doctors tried really hard, but they couldn't fix her brain, so she had to go to heaven.
I've never heard a child cry like that. I never want to hear a child cry like that again. We had to lay in bed with him, didn't we, that night, and comfort him.
He just wanted stories of his mom.
How he was born.
And how much she loved him, and no matter where she was on this earth or any other place, how much she was always going to love him.
Her son will never get to hold her hand again. Say, "Hi mummy, I love you." She won't get to see him go to prom and even college or uni and learn to drive, see him buy his first house. None of them will ever get to experience any of what the future holds together. No more memories to make. Cruelly stolen from everyone she loved and who loved her. And that is why I could not stay silent, and why I felt the urge to cover this monstrous and despicable case. I will not let her name be forgotten. Say it, guys. Rhiannon Skye Whyte. You will always be remembered and loved, and I have no doubt your son will grow up surrounded by love and always reminded of how much his mummy loved and adored him. And always will do, watching over him every day. Her loving sister Alexandra quoted her favourite Disney character, Stitch, from the Lilo and Stitch movies, saying, Ohana, Ohana, means family, and family means no one gets left behind or forgotten, and Rhiannon will never be forgotten. Oh, bless them all. Now let's just hope and pray that karma and justice gets this scum when sentencing arrives, or prison inmates choose to help us out. Either way, I hope he rots in prison or hell, because that's clearly the only place where he is going. I will try and do an update on this case, you guys, and thank you all for watching and being here and supporting my channel. I'll be back soon for more Random Jan. Rhiannon Skye Whyte. A fun, bubbly, caring and thoughtful mother, family member and friend to many. We will remember you. Rest in heaven, Rhiannon.